Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Patti Redd from NICS User Support, and I want to welcome you to our next installment of HPC education. The subject for today is, I have an XSEDE or NICS account. Now what do I do? The topics we're going to cover today are, what is an account process? How do I enable my account? What is expected of me? What is an OTP and do I need one? How do I receive and activate one? The next thing will be, how do I log in and how do I get help? The first topic, what is the account process? Well, as we saw last week, it's different for both XSEDE and NICS Director discretionary accounts. The XSEDE account, each person has to apply for their own XSEDE user ID, and once that's complete, the PI has to put you on his project. Once that is complete, the XSEDE sends an electronic packet to each of the resource providers for every system that you have access to. Each resource provider has a different process, but they all have to process their accounts and process the packets before you will have access to the system. The second type of project and account is a NICS Director discretionary. It is possible to have both accounts. However, if the NICS Director discretionary is applied for on the NICS web link, which we covered last week, a PI either has to approve your access to the process or the project itself is created. A notification is then sent to the user. However, this is only for first-time users. Existing users do not get a notification. So if you're not sure if your account is processed, then please contact user support by sending an email to help@nics.utk.edu. Then you may or may not be required to use an OTP token. And this will be required if you do not have an active XSEDE account. Okay, so I have my account. How do I enable it? There are some common questions that we come across, and frequently get this question from XSEDE users, because the question is, once I receive my notice from XSEDE, do I have immediate access to my systems? And the answer to that is no. You will get an email from XSEDE saying your account is complete, and that's a very quick process, but we still have to complete the process of XSEDE sending the electronic packets to the resource providers, and each resource provider, of course, creating your account there before you will have access. The second question we get is, well, I have access to some XSEDE systems as well as Dart or Nautilus, but when I log into the other XSEDE systems, I'm fine. Dart and Nautilus both give me a message saying permission denied. Well, the answer to that is NICS does have additional processes to complete before you're allowed access to our systems. When your account is completely finished, you will get an email from accounts@NICS that has your information regarding your project, your username, and most importantly, there is a link in this email that will give you access to your own personal NICS user portal. You must access this portal before your account is enabled. The user portal is very handy. It has other things that you can do in the user portal besides activate, but you absolutely have to do that. And once that is complete, if you are an XSEDE user, you will be able to log into the system right away using the XSEDE single sign-on hub. An example of the welcome email is exhibited here. It will have your name, your PI's name, your project name, your username, some helpful links in how to get help, etc. But if you look down at this link, it is the link to your user portal, and your username will be here, followed by some numbers. This link will only be available with this number code the first time you activate your account. Once you activate your account, like I said, if you're an XSEDE user, you will be able to log in with the XSEDE Single Sign-On Hub. Okay, here's a quick glimpse of part of your user portal. Like I said, it is handy for a couple of things besides just activating your account. And one of those is if you are on more than one project, you can choose your default project. The other thing that's quite important is if you want a shell that is not the default shell, then you can change your shell yourself at this site. So, okay, I've activated my account. Do you expect anything out of me? Absolutely. We do have some requirements. You have agreed to those policies and requirements by activating either your XSEDE account or your NICS account or both. Activating these accounts will automatically assume that you are agreeing to the policies and you will be held accountable. Of course, we also want reports and feedback. Both XSEDE and NICS will require that. The most common violation of the policies is sharing accounts. And that is something that is incredibly important, that we do not share accounts. Each person who accesses an HPC resources absolutely must be identified and have their own account. You cannot share passwords, OTPs, or access in any way, shape, or form. If it is identified that you are sharing your account will be disabled, and perhaps the entire project will be disabled until further notice. Like I said earlier, once you activate your account and enable it, you will get a second email. The second email will tell you how to log in with the Single Sign-On Hub. It will also tell you what is necessary in order to obtain an OTP token, if you should need one, and it will explain whether or not you will need one. So the next question is, what is an OTP token? I've heard some common questions are, I've heard that NICS requires OTP tokens. What is it and how do I get one? Well, the answer is OTP stands for one-time password. This is an electronic key that provides a constantly changing code that is used to log into the system. This code has to match the database or it won't allow you to log in. This will take the place of a password, so it cannot be, no one can run a program on it and just guess your password. The second answer is you do not need an OTP unless your account is strictly through a NICS director discretionary and you have no XSEDE projects at NICS, or if you need access to the HPSS storage. If you do require an OTP, you absolutely must respond to that email by sending an email to accounts@nics.utk.edu, and this will notify us that you want an OTP token. Even director discretionary will not automatically be sent a token without sending this email. We do request that you send your home address, as many, many tokens have been lost in university mail, as universities sometimes can't tell where to send something to a student. Attached to your second email is also a NICS token activation form. OTP tokens are sent out disabled and will not be enabled until this form is received. This is a sample of what the form looks like, and this is our way of verifying that the person who has the token is the correct person and should be allowed access to the system. A couple of things to note about that: it must be notarized. Almost every university has a notary on staff for students and staff. Or if you are a UT student, you can come to our user support, and any NICS employee can sign the form for you. Okay, so I've completed all of this. Now how do I log in? Well, like I said, there are two ways to log in. The first is if you are an XSEDE user, you can log in with the XSEDE single sign-on hub. Here's a link, and I will bring up the web page. That's the wrong one. Here is the link through XSEDE that explains the single sign-on hub. Now I will demonstrate using the single sign-on hub in order to log into the system. And press this. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is bring up a terminal. And I will SSH, oops, maybe I better get my fingers in the right keys. SSH, my XSEDE username, at XSEDE, no, login.xsede.org. I'm getting no response. Okay, it's come back now and it's asking for my password. And here you will enter your XSEDE password. Okay, now I'm logged into XSEDE. And once you log in, you will see that there is a list of every system that I have access to. Because I'm XSEDE staff, I have access to almost all of the systems here. So should you have access to Darter, you would want to type GSI SSH space GSI SSH dot Darter dot NICS dot XSEDE.org. Could not resolve. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay, so I'm going to cut and paste. And then okay, and now I'm logged into Darter. It's as simple as that. Okay, I've exited out. So that's as simple as it is to log in through the XSEDE single sign-on hub. Okay, but how are local NICS discretionary accounts different? Well, the reason you cannot use the XSEDE single sign-on hub if you have strictly only a director discretionary is that XSEDE provides the credentials, the GSI credentials. If you don't have an XSEDE project, then you won't be able to get the XSEDE credentials, so you will have to use a one-time password token. And this is what the tokens look like. Okay, so as we covered before, you have to request a token and return your form. But how do you activate it? Okay, tokens are sent out disabled, and you have to return the notarized form before it's enabled. Now, can I just scan the form and send it to you? Well, the answer to that is yes. You may be able to do that, but we do require the original for our files. If you fill out the form before you receive your token and you don't have the serial number, we will accept the serial number if you send it with the from the email address that you have registered here at NICS. Okay, so now you've got your token and it's enabled. How do I use my token? Okay, I will go, first of all, you have to set a PIN before the token is used. So I will go ahead and demonstrate how to do that. And the login is different if you're using OTP. You will not log into the XSEDE login single sign-on hub, what you will do is you will log directly into the system. So I'll log into Darter by doing an SSH, my username, at darter.nics.utk.edu. Okay, now I get a prompt that says enter passcode. Well, I have a passcode. The passcode are the numbers that you have on your token. So I'm going to enter the numbers on my token. There are 6 numbers. And then I come back with a prompt that says, to continue, you must enter a new PIN. Are you ready to enter a new PIN? Yes. Okay, now I'm going to choose my PIN number. And then I'm going to repeat it to make sure I didn't do any typos. Okay, it says new PIN accepted. Please press enter to continue. Now, once again, I have to enter the PIN number I just chose and the number on the token. Okay, now I'm logged in. Now, the 2 things to remember about this are, number 1, the PIN number comes first. There cannot be any letters in this PIN number. It has to be numbers only. There are no spaces between that and the number on your token, and the token number can only be used 1 time. If you just used it, then you will have to wait until the token changes before you can use the token again. All right, I'm going to exit, and that is complete. Okay, so this is all well and good, but I don't know where you got that box in the first place to either log into the XSEDE single sign-on hub or directly into Darter. So what do I do? Well, the answer to that is most likely you're working from a PC. So Unix and Linux systems will have terminal windows. If you have a PC, what you want to do is go to putty.org, and you will want to download Putty to your system. I have a screenshot here of Putty that's loaded on a PC, and this is how you would log into the XSEDE. Oh, geez, I got org instead of org. To the XSEDE single sign-on hub. And you would use your username, and this is an SSH, which is the default. You will use your username at login.xsede.org, and that's a G instead of a T. And then once you do that, click open, and you will automatically bring up the window that we saw earlier with the Linux terminal. Okay, so now I'm logged in, and I think I'm ready to go. How do I get help if I don't know, if I have a problem or I don't know where to go next? Well, the first thing you would want to do, of course, is go ahead and go to our website. We've got a lot of information on our website that's very helpful. We have, getting started guides and just a lot of facts and tutorials on there. So you want to check out nics.tennessee.edu, and if you're an XSEDE user, you will probably want to go to the XSEDE.org site and research there a little. But if you do want some help, there are 2 email addresses to send for help. The first is help@nics.utk.edu, and the second would be help@xsede.org. And if you send an email to either of those addresses, it will open up a help ticket, and we will be more than happy to help you in any way we can. Now, if there are any questions.
Into the chat.
Ooh, that's for you. Do I have a chat on here?
Stop share. Chat.
Okay, thank you very much.